Well, the Quran's been resident in the town for over 100 years. It was part of a collection that was passed over to Middlesbrough in 1906 by a philanthropist called William Kelly. He had a collection of religious, social and philosophical books that he gifted to the town, some 15 to 18,000 volumes. Now, the Quran is a 1698 edition of a translation from Arabic to Latin. It was created by a fellow called Ludovico Maracci in 1698. Middlesbrough is a young town. It's a very young town. It's less than 200-year-old in terms of what we know of it today. Its history is really a history of migration. Enormous levels of migration into the town in the 19th century to fuel the industrial development in the town. And those communities came from all over the world.
Wherever your home is, no matter where you are and where you brought up, that environment is your home. And it's how we make it our home. So we had a very, very good upbringing because we were the only Asian families, coloured families. There was odd seamen always coming from the port, from the 1840s when the port was built, but that's different. So to be the only brown face in a school all your life, we never really faced any prejudice. Generally, Middlesbrough is a warm town, and we've had a good history of mixing with the indigenous white population, small Chinese population that used to be here, certainly the Jewish population, which is now dispersed, and most of the English people here have Irish blood. So there's a big Catholic content, so the town was always a mix.
Okay, so my dad's called Abdul Rashid. He came to the country in 1967 in January. So you can imagine that was a bit of a culture shock for him, flying into Heathrow. He came as a 13-year-old, and the first stop he made in the country was in Sheffield. He was in Sheffield for seven odd years, and he worked in a butcher's shop for that period. And then he moved to Middlesbrough in the 1970s, so he moved to Middlesbrough in 1974. And his first job in Middlesbrough was at the Teesside dockyards, where he worked from 1974 to 2000.
The advantage that I've had being in Middlesbrough is the field of work I went into was very new to the BME community, because you don't normally get Asian fitness instructors. And I even remember the first couple of years, if I said to somebody, I'm a fitness instructor, they'd look at me blank thinking, what? But obviously now it's become more acceptable. So I felt being in Middlesbrough helped me more because I was probably one of the few people who was in this field, and I was able to, create a huge impact.
People, unless they know you, then they realize, we aren't what media portrays. These are terrorists. They're not good and this and that. I mean, in the early 60s, the women used to frighten their kids, or if you don't eat this or if you don't do this, black man is going to come and get you. That was the saying at that time. And they were frightened of us, the kids.
I'm very conscious of the rise of the anti-Muslim kind of messages that are out there, whether you describe it as Islamophobia or any other term. I think it's something, as a Muslim living in this country, you have to be aware of.
Middlesbrough is an immigrant town from the very beginning. It's, in fact, my thesis at Durham for my MA was political growth of Middlesbrough, 1830 to 53. And it's wave upon wave of immigration. And each wave of immigration, Jewish, Irish, and so on, all got absorbed. So we were the main immigration wave in the late 50s, single men, 60s towards the middle end, odd women coming, with some children already born in Pakistan. And to be quite honest, if you ask any of those people, they all settled in Middlesbrough comfortably.
We need to see the positive contribution that new communities make to an area, and that's I think what this exhibition is trying to say. It's trying to say that we need to focus on the positive aspects of migration, as well as looking at some of the challenges that it creates for the town as well.
Middlesbrough has given our family a lot. It's given us opportunities in terms of work, education. It's a town that's welcomed my family with open arms. We've not had some challenges that some families have faced, but we've been very fortunate in what we've had, and I'd hope that my children would become part of the society, would be the fabric of the society, in the sense of they're born here, they're bred here like I was, and that they will always have that belief that they can always give something back to this community.
Many years ago, what you'd find is, when we were young, everybody knew everybody on the street. So the Sikh neighbour knew the Pakistani neighbour knew the Indian neighbour. It was amazing. Like our road, Lothian Road, so many years ago, everybody knew everybody. But it's not like that now. Everybody's in their own little sections, and I think that's really sad.
Well, it's my home, Middlesbrough. We don't know anything else. We've been to Pakistan. We used to go stay 3-4 weeks, and after 4 weeks, we wanted to come back.
I think education is absolutely the key in the long term. If people don't understand that human experience is the same, whatever the colour of your skin, then, you know, that's something that needs addressing through education. I also think that, you know, education in the less traditional sense, in things like this exhibition, where people can come along and find out more about the communities that have lived here for over 70 years, is another important aspect, as well as the more formal education that you might expect to see in schools and colleges and universities.